justice and peace, and equality.
Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. We're back with another episode with former president of the Henry County Democratic Party, Mr. Mike Burns. How you doing today, Mr. Burns?
I'm good. How are you?
Awesome. It's an honor to have you on the show.
Thank you.
We are in perilous times. We are in a time in America where things are shifting. Tell us where we're going as a country.
Well, I mean, the line is getting blurred between the three branches of government with respect to who actually is in charge.
Okay.
The executive branch feels as though they don't have to pay attention to the legislative branch or the judicial branch.
Right.
The founders set this up with a three-legged sharing of power for a reason, so that no one branch took dominance over the other, and that the voices of the people were heard, and there was a check on the division and the execution of power. Those lines are being blurred. This is all a part of Project 2025. It was the intention to do that. It was the intention to, they were very clear. They wanted to run the federal agencies the way that they wanted to run it.
Right.
They wanted to take away certain things, Department of Education, certain federal agencies they wanted to eliminate because they didn't agree with what they represented.
Right.
They wanted to get rid of, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And this in a country where it's the only country, one of the few countries on earth where you don't have to be born here to become a citizen.
Wow.
The power of this country is in its diversity, not in its straight-laced approach.
Okay.
So many good things have happened from people from all over the world because they've come here and shared their strength and knowledge and power and skills to make this country what it is.
Okay.
We are who we are because of our diversity.
Wow.
So how can you ignore that when that is, at the end of the day, what makes this the strength of the United States? That's why it has been in position that it's been, because of its diversity.
Awesome. Now, we just came off the local election for multiple cities across Georgia. We saw a huge dynamic change. We saw a huge shift in several different cities. We saw some things remain the same. Where are we at with, voters? What direction are we going in as a party, Democratic Party? I know you said something about the youth and things of that nature, but where are we going? Because I saw a parallel where nonpartisan relationships, nonpartisan races seem to turn into red versus blue. Tell us where are we at?
Well, that's always going to be the case. I mean, your mayoral races are nonpartisan, but people know based on their position on the issues which side of the political divide they're on. So it becomes fairly obvious who leans one way and who leans the other way. But it's time for youth to be served. I've talked about that before.
And what does that mean?
I am a senior citizen.
Right, okay.
A proud senior citizen. I wouldn't give back not one day of my years. But the issues that imperil this planet belong to the youth. Climate change is their issue.
Okay.
And climate change is the greatest slow-moving disaster in the history of the planet.
Okay.
That is an issue that young people understand, and they need to be in a position to be able to address, because it is a sea change in a lot of things. How we live our lives, how our societies move, how we act as a people. It's a real change in how we live to be able to mitigate the impact of climate change. That's not going to come from seniors who have lived, X number of years. They're set in their ways. They know what they like. They know what they do, and they don't want to change. And I'm not saying that's a negative.
Right.
But, in order to affect that change, you need to have people who understand the urgency for that change, and that's coming from the youth. So when I say youth should be served, my generation needs to become counselors and and serve to provide guidance.
Correct.
And let them begin to take the reins of power. And the people have told me, well, don't make mistakes. I said, like we did when we were young.
Right.
You know, it's okay. But they have the advantage of having lived with computers and cell phones, which we didn't have when I was a kid, and they've had access to all the knowledge of the world in here. So they are smarter, they are more capable, they're more knowledgeable than my generation was when we were their age.
Okay.
I trust their ability to bring the energy to these issues to try to make a difference.
Okay.
We need to, that doesn't mean that we don't have a role to play.
Right.
But our role should be as advisors and to provide guidance, to let people know where they're at and what we think the methodology should be used to move forward. But at the end of the day, let them begin to take charge and make decisions. I mean, when you listen to the gentleman that's the mayor-elect in New York City, when he said in his acceptance speech, I have one message for the president, turn up the volume. I mean, that's what needs to be said, because power unchecked is power elite, is power ultimate. You can't allow people to totally dominate in a country that, you know, is based on, it's a Republican form of government, but it's based on democratic principles. That doesn't exist if there's not checks and balances.
Right.
A young man like that exists to provide checks and balances, to say, well, no, it's not just your opinion and it's not just your way of thinking.
Right. The youth are operating in a sense of not being afraid warriors. They're operating in a sense, we just had young mayor-elect right here in Stockbridge, Georgia, Jaden Williams, who, I mean, I think he shocked the world. He was all over the news outlets. I mean, his story went viral. I'm talking about on every news channel you can think of.
Right.
And then you have Adrian Conisary running for Georgia Secretary of State, 25 years old. What do you think is happening with are they waking up? Are they saying, we're not waiting for you? We're not, like, what are they saying in their minds? Why the rise of the youth right at this moment?
Well, the youth are more perceptive than people give them credit for. I mean, the reason that the mayor-elect in New York won is because 80% of the kids between 18 to 30 voted. They're starting to understand, we have numbers.
Yeah.
You guys only show up 45, 50% of the time. We're going to show up 80, 90% of the time, and we're going to win. Correct. And they understand that. They understand the power of their numbers, and they have finally decided we have the ability to influence these outcomes, and we're going to do that. And that is a good thing.
And that's an awesome thing.
Absolutely.
That's
I mean,
an awesome thing.
You know, in my youth, it was a Vietnam War. Well, all that changed because young people protested. You know, Martin Luther King, you know, headed the civil rights movement, which, you know, outside of what Gandhi did in India, was probably one of the greatest nonviolent movements on earth. He won the Peace Prize. I think he was, 37, 36? So, I mean, the energy and the spirit that youth bring to these issues is incalculable. And we are the beneficiaries of giving them the opportunity to bring that energy and to bring that fire and to bring that spirit to these challenges and to move these issues forward. We have done a great job moving things forward, but it is time for someone else to step in and start to gather the reins, and with taking advantage of good guidance and advice, begin to start to move the needle in the direction that it needs to be moved in.
How do we do that? Because we're dealing with a generation, our older generation. We're dealing with the sandwich generation that's raising the generation of the next generation leaders of today. And a lot of times, it will culturally, systematically, we've had setbacks in passing the torch to the next generation. And what does passing the torch look like? Does it look like just supporting them and counseling them? are we setting up a financial wave of wealth for the next generation, for the next generation leaders of today? What are the elders, the seniors doing? Are they? We understand council. We want to know the this and that. But what type of economic wealth are the elders setting in place to make this thing, go for the next generation?
Well, they need to open those doors that have traditionally been difficult to access.
Okay.
And in addition to that, we need youth to understand it is not just the avenues that our generation pursued to get access to the resources. This all comes down to what I talk about in my nonprofit.
Okay.
With that, we have to stop looking at black, white, indigenous, Hispanic, Jewish, Democrat, Republican.
Okay.
At the end of the day, it's all about people.
Right.
At the end of the day, we have so much more in common than we have opposite. So the young people, we need to get the young people to understand we can share what we know, but you need to step outside of our traditional areas and go to other places to get those resources. There are people in Asia that are willing to commit millions and millions of dollars to supporting climate change. Our young people may or may not even know about that because they haven't been made aware of that. We need to make sure that those doors are open and that they know that. There are young people in China that should be working with young people in the United States, who should be working with young people in South America, who should be working with young people in Canada to figure out to combine their power and strength. See, they have the opportunity to come together in a way that we have never done. And if they come together, they will eclipse what we were able to do resource-wise, because they will realize that between all of us, we have all the resources we need. The analogy I like to use is the young people are starting to realize I don't have to fix a whole Thanksgiving dinner. I just need to talk to my friends, and I'll bring the turkey, and you bring the ham, and you bring the macaroni, and you bring the sweet potato pie, and you bring the green beans. Guess what? We all have Thanksgiving dinner, but we didn't all have to pay for the dinner because we all came together and shared what we have.
Correct.
That's where the power and the strength is. And my generation, not so much. We tended to focus on our cultural or ethnic group, empowering them. Young people should come together to take a look at how do we all come together as humans and share our knowledge and resources. And when they do that, they will have access to more resources and power than anyone. They are starting to understand we are not bystanders.
Yes,
we are participants in this, and we have the opportunity to make a difference, and they can do that. But they'll do it in a way that has never been done in the history of this planet, because all these kids from different cultures and backgrounds have the opportunity to come together. We had talked about that before. I had said that we tend to focus on the things we have different and not the things we have in common.
Right.
So if I told you, how many people care about having access to food? Everybody's okay with that.
Right.
Access to shelter. Everybody's okay with that.
The
ability to take care of your family and children and make sure that they're okay. Everybody cares about that. The ability to be safe. Access to clean air, clean water. The ability to earn a living and however I want to earn a living.
Right.
Access to some type of health care or health services, so when I'm sick, I can be taken care of. That's 8 things that I just listed. Everybody agrees with.
Everybody definitely agrees with.
But we all argue about them other 2 on the list of 10. When we should be focusing on the 8 we agree on. Young people are starting to understand we have the ability to focus on those 8 and come together as a group to be able to make a difference. And I work with young people. I work with colleges and universities all over the country. And I've had white kids from New York help African Americans in Mississippi. I've had the University of Florida design housing for indigenous people in Alaska. I've had a professor from the University of California in Davis explains to some people in the Bahamas
Okay.
about the wealth of their natural resources in a way that they never really understood it.
Right.
That's where the power is at.
That's where the
power is at, is when everybody drops those barriers and say, we're all humans sharing this planet together.
Right.
And the young people, because of their access to technology, are starting to understand that, are starting to realize their power, and I think they're going to step up to the plate and do that. Our generation didn't do that. It's not that we were bad. We didn't have access to the technology or the knowledge base that they do, but they have that, and they're going to take advantage of that. And I say, good for you, and I support them 100%. My nonprofit, I don't do anything.
Right.
I'm a bridge between the people that can provide help with the people that need help, and I stand as a conduit to bring them together. It's a beautiful thing.
And we've definitely been seeing you bring people together in your whole journey. You know, I met you as the president of the Democratic Party in Henry County. You know, when we were turning the county blue, things of that nature. You were in that, and we said turn the county blue, and I definitely want to go back to you. We'll go back to your nonprofit after the commercial break. But I remember, I want to talk about the separation. You were talking about the barriers that separate us. 2020, we were talking about turning the county blue. Mm-hmm. Okay, what did that mean? What did that look like? Because what we said, I don't know if that's what it looks like in 2025 today. So tell us, what does that look like? What does that mean? And why won't the youth of tomorrow follow that same path?
An excellent question. So, Henry County had been Republican run, like forever. Okay. And there was a distribution of resources and policy making that tended to favor the people that were in charge.
Okay.
Which circumvented other people within the county, particularly the African American community. So I wanted to see a change, because my belief was, if the Democratic Party stands for all people, if the Democratic Party was the party of Lincoln and Kennedy and Obama and Biden, that party stands for everybody, and the people that are in charge have not necessarily taken that approach.
Right.
So let us focus our energies on putting together a great slate of candidates that we can have run for office.
Okay.
People that can come in, that come from that mindset of that party, that can actually make that difference. And we worked extremely hard. In reality, that effort started, 8 years before that.
Absolutely.
Because
2012.
That's right, because we ran a slate for county commissioners, and they had never had, some of those commissioners had never had a Democrat run against them like ever. Okay. Now, we lost every race.
Okay.
But what we said was, we're not going to sit idle and watch what we perceive is an inequity on how things are being run.
Okay.
So over the course of 8 years, you build up the party, you get people registered to vote. Mm-hmm. The demographics of the county absolutely helped, because there was a migration of Democrats and minorities that have come into the county, to the point where we're a majority minority county now. So that also helped make a difference. So in 2020, we just about ran the table. We took the chair, we took the sheriff, we took the commissioners, the judge, the tax commissioner, the DA, who they both had already been in office, but they kept their positions.
Okay.
And essentially, it changed from a Republican-run county to a Democratic-run county.
Okay.
So I was really happy with the role I played in trying to make that happen. And don't get me wrong, the candidates did the lion's share of the work. My job was to help keep everybody organized and moving in the same direction. over the course of the 5 years, there are, I'm a gentleman of very high standards.
Absolutely.
And there is an expectation for a certain amount of governance that I expect to see. And with the caveat that I am a gentleman of very high standards, the governance hasn't necessarily met what I would consider my high standards of what I would like to see.
Right.
Bad practices are bad practices regardless of what party's in charge.
Absolutely.
So I would like to see, and again, I have a very high standard, but I'd like to see, the governance standard, elevated to some extent. Because as a voter and a taxpayer, there's a standard that I'd like to see, and I'd like to see that met. Now, will it be met? I can't necessarily say it will.
Okay.
But as long as the taxpayers of this county feel as though they're being equitably treated,
Right.
then that's fine. I mean, my opinion, I'm just some guy.
Correct.
But as long as the majority of voters feel as though their issues are being addressed and they're being heard as voters, then that's a good thing, and that's fine. So, things like town halls and public discourse, those type of things are important to keep people informed on what's going on, and to get feedback from people on what's important to them. I mean,
that's right.
No action shouldn't be taken that's not a priority of the citizens. I mean, because at the end of the day, they're the ones that put people in positions of power, and they're the ones that pay the taxes that give them the ability to do the work that they want to do. So, it's important to hear from the taxpayers on as often as possible, and to take their comments and even their criticism as feedback. When I hire people, I don't hire yes men or women. I don't want that, because I want people that are willing to say, well, Mike, that ain't necessarily the best idea. And I say, okay, why? And if they've got a really good opinion, then I pivot to that, because at the end of the day, it's all about what's best, not about what's mine. So,
man, we're gonna have to go to a commercial break. We got Mike Burns, community and college partners program. We gonna talk about that. But we gotta go to a commercial break, because we definitely gotta pay our bills and recognize our sponsors on the show. Game Changers Magazine, Game Changers Media Network, Voices of the Village podcast, where change starts with conversation. You guys stay tuned.
Justice and peace and equality.